What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Tuesday, November 19th, 2024 edition of the Daily Energy Newsbeat Stand-Up. Here are today's top headlines. First up, French terminals import record volumes of LNG from Russia. Next up, Germany rejects vessel carrying Russian Arctic LNG, but continues indirect imports via EU neighbors. Here, don't look at what we're doing over here. Just look at this hand over here. Finally, we'll come stateside. Texas looks to expansion of nuclear energy. Go Texas. Finally, how Trump energy plan could actually benefit the environment. Interesting there. Stu will then toss it over to me. I will quickly wrap up with covering what happened in oil prices today, and really with the close of earnings. That's really all we've got today. So we will let you guys get out of here early. Obviously, I am Michael Tanner, joined by Stuart Turley. Where do you want to begin?
Hey, let's start with our buddies over there in French. Speak French. French terminals import record volumes of LNG from Russia. France is importing record volumes of Russian LNG as overall LNG purchases are falling. Ship tracking data compiled by Bloomberg showed on Monday. Michael, watch what we do over here. German shipments into the French terminal at Dunkirk have surged, in particular to help deliveries of German state firm securing energy for Europe. You gotta love this. This is an important story. Russian LNG accounted for 20% of the EU's LNG imports in the first 9 months of 2024. So They're gonna not do a pipeline, but they're gonna take LNG. I love it.
Well, it's a classic. Don't look at what I'm doing over here. Look at what I'm doing over here. But it's all the shell game, unfortunately. I mean, you have to get your energy from somewhere. So, exactly. And you don't want to pay exorbitant prices for it. You want to find the most economical choice possible. So it makes sense that they're going to come over here and say, well, we're not directly importing, but we're going to go ahead and buy from another country that's importing from Russia. So, you know, at least India has the gall to just be like, no, we're buying from Russia. Sorry.
And have a good day.
Yes, absolutely. This does point out at the end of the article here from oilprice.com that Russian LNG does account for about 20% of all of EU's LNG imports for the first 9 months there in 2024. And that's compared to 14% last year. So it is up despite the ban.
That's right. And when you consider that we talked about having Chancellor Schultz, I see nothing yesterday, you know, when he's calling Putin and going, hey, I need some gas. So, all right, let's go to Germany. Speaking of Chancellor Schultz, Germany rejects vessel carrying Russian Arctic LNG, but continues indirect imports. This is really kind of a continuing theme over here that we just talked about. Russian LNG may not be critical to European natural gas supply. I guess it's one of those things to end up with some Russian gas in your pipeline supply, but it's another to actually unload a shipment of Russian LNG from a Russian vessel into a German terminal, for your point, Sal. We don't want receipts. No. We don't mind the molecules. We don't want receipts.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't. It's absolutely crazy. Indirect Russian gas flows still.
Oh, yeah. Come on, man. Michael, I've said this. We're going to see an end of the war. The Ukraine war is a crime scene. We're going to see an end to it, and they're going to start buying Russian natural gas. Yay. Let's all.
Wow. Unless, you know, Ukraine starts lobbing these long-range missiles into Russia.
Oh, that just drives. Let's go to, oh, yeah, that one just breaks my heart. I mean,
all right, what's next? Let's come stateside here. What's Texas doing?
Let's go to Texas. Love me some Texas. Texas looks into expansion of nuclear energy. A group studying possible expansion of nuclear energy in Texas released a report Monday. 61 possible advanced nuclear sites in Texas. ERCOT says electricity demand could nearly double in 6 years. How in the bleepity explicit can we get a double of the power in Texas? Michael, there's absolutely no way.
Yeah, we'll be having brownouts around here. No, we've got to fix the grid. It's one of the things I hope, and I know Chris Wright Secretary-elect of Department of Energy will fix. Hopefully.
Absolutely. We've got two nuclear plants, power plants in Bay City and Glen Rose, but they've actually got four reactors, two power plants. The two plants are responsible for 10% of the energy in ERCOT. That's a lot of power, baby.
It is. So where do you think these nuclear reactors are going to go? Because there's a couple different choices. They've got, say, 61 sites they're thinking about. Where do you think these end up being?
It's a big state. So, I'm not sure. I think that you're going to see actually Midland get them. And I think you're going to see them over in that tarp. You've got one in Abilene. You've got Abilene Christian University with the salt nuclear reactor that Senator Ted Cruz is fighting to get them some uranium to fire it up. So it's going to be all over the state. I think that would help tremendously. You cannot have wind and solar without nuclear. And you're not going to have a stable grid without natural gas until you get your nuclear built.
Yeah. It's most likely not going to be Houston, considering the hurricanes that they have. So, you're probably looking at somewhere either in Central Texas, the Rio Grande Valley, or where I think it's going to end up being, which is here in the DFW Metroplex, somewhere maybe either out west of Fort Worth or out west, maybe, past Rockwell or something.
Well, you got the grid connections coming from West Texas. I think you got West Texas, and we need them for fracking since Liberty has electric frack fleet. Oh,
interesting. All right, what's next?
Let's go to how Trump energy plan could actually benefit the environment. I'm sorry, Trump lives just rent-free in a lot of people's minds. A second Trump administration focus on increasing natural gas production exports could lead to a decrease in global CO2 emissions. That is, let me hold on, Michael. Fact check true. U.S. natural gas can displace coal and other dirtier resources, particularly in developing nations. At the 29th Conference of the Parties, COP29 in Azerbaijan, attendees are full dire prediction that the world climate will worsen under President-elect Trump. It ain't going to happen. More gas is the only way we're going to actually do better.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I do find it funny they're holding COP29 in Azerbaijan, a oil and gas. It's like they were holding it in. It's like holding it in Riyadh, or Riyadh.
The heads popping from the left were so much fun. You can't buy this kind of entertainment. There goes another one.
And another. But I think again, the United States produces the cleanest molecule fossil fuels on the planet.
Yep.
And China's not going to reduce their emissions. Okay. Nope. So what do we need to do? We need to somehow figure out how to make our production, while not giving up our fossil fuel advantage, considering we have some of the world's largest natural gas reserves. I mean, it's not the largest, but we've got a lot of natural gas here. How we can produce that as cheaply as possible.
I really would think that there's going to be, and one of the things that I want to put out to President Trump is I'm writing a paper on how to get rid of ethanol and get rid of the Jones Act. Those two things will help lower emissions and energy costs in the United States.
Yeah.
Those two simple
The Jones
things.
Act we have to get rid of. And if you have to get rid of the Jones Act.
Yes. It's going to be tough to get the farmers off of the subsidies.
Yeah, it's tough, but hey, if you're into the free market, you're into the free market.
I think I just heard Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy go, you are deleted. That's their new word, deleted. So anyway.
All right, guys, well, we'll go ahead and jump over and quickly cover oil prices. But before we do that, we've got to pay the bills. Thank you for checking us out here on the world's greatest website, EnergyNewsBeat.com, the best place for all your energy and oil and gas news. Stu and the team do a tremendous job making sure that website stays up to speed. Everything you need to know to be the tip of the spear when it comes to the energy and the oil and gas business. Go ahead and hit that description below for all of the links to the timestamps, links to the articles. You can also hit us up on Substack, theenergynewsbeat.substack.com. We appreciate everybody who has subscribed from there. Speaking of Substack, shout out to Doomberg for reposting our interview with the Secretary-elect Chris Wright for the Department of Energy. It's got some great feedback on it. Recommend going to our YouTube channel and checking that out. Go ahead and just subscribe to us there. Also, we're making a nice big push towards the end of the year. Again, guys, not to beat a dead horse, but if you're paying taxes in 2024, I'm sorry. taxes are 2023. Enter 2025. Lower your tax burden. Invest directly in oil and gas. If you need help and want to know how investing in oil and gas can lower your tax burden, diversify your portfolio, give you monthly dividends, and also be able to call yourself an oil man. If you watched Landman last night on Paramount, you could be held up by the cartel with a bag over your head and a gun pointed at you if you call yourself an oil man. So think about that. If that's what you want your lifestyle to be, invest in oil and gas, and then you can call yourself a landman, which is great, which is, again, we got to talk about how that show, there was about 2% of that show that was maybe legit, but there was, they threw around some lingo, but it will be funny to watch. Shout out to everybody who watched that last night. But again, guys, invest in oil.energynewsbeat.com if you're interested in figuring out how to lower your tax burden for 2024. Let's go ahead and just quickly cover oil prices, guys. But before we do that, we'll just quickly run through the market. Market was up about 0.3 of a percentage point. That's the S&P 500. NASDAQ was actually up about 0.7 of a percentage point. 2 and 10-year yields both basically flat. Dollar index dropped about 0.5 percentage point. Bitcoin popped about a percentage point, slightly over $90,000. Crude oil actually jumped about 2.5, 3 percentage points today. Opened all the way, was at its low last trading session, all the way down at 66.55. Closed just above 60, or closed at $69. Now it's currently trading, as we record this, about 5:15 p.m. Central Time. Is just now below $69 at 68.98. A couple things, in terms of why prices were up. One, we have an outage in the North Sea. So there's this line, this electrical line that's been cut, is what it seems like, from running from Germany to Finland. A lot of that, power outage.
There's a
affecting the
communication
Jonah Verdrup oil field, which is basically the Western Europe's largest oil field. Equinor announced that they've got plans to restart production, but it's not really immediately clear when it's going to come back online. Prices sort of jumped on basically the tightening of that North Sea market. We also did see Kazakhstan's biggest oil field, Tenzin, which is actually operated by Chevron, have to reduce their output by about 28 to 30% due to those ongoing repairs. And then, as I teased a little bit earlier, we also did see an escalation of the Ukrainian war, in which President Joe Biden allowed Ukraine to start using U.S.-made weapons to strike deeper into Russia. That's according to 2 U.S. officials. The Kremlin came out on Monday, and this is not good when the Kremlin starts saying Russia will respond to what it calls a reckless decision by the Biden administration, having previously warned that such a decision would raise the risk of a confrontation between the U.S.-led NATO alliance. Again, they're trying to draw us into a war before the administration changes. Why not hand over a spicy conflict with Russia? It'll be very interesting to see how that plays out over the next 2 weeks. And this all, again, comes of the heel after oil prices took about a 3% drop last week. So we are basically seeing a rebound of where prices are, but pretty slow news day, Stu. Not much on the finance side. I'm still putting together some of my research notes from the Uinta Montney swap. I'm trying to get a little deal spotlight lined up, so we will try to get that to you as soon as we can. But what else? What are you looking at? What are you hearing?
Well, I'm kind of on pins and needles waiting for the end of the war. I know it's coming, especially when I get a call from Chancellor Schultz.
Good old Schultz telling you that he sees nothing.
See no war. I see no war.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, with that, we will let you out of here. Get back to work. Stu will be rocking a solo show tomorrow and Thursday. I will be in the great city of Midland, Texas, for the Hart Energy Executive Conference. So if you are there, feel free to find me and say hi. Maybe we'll do a quick little call in that night, but otherwise I think we'll let Stu rock a solo show the next 2 days. But we'll be back in the saddle. What's our plan for Thanksgiving? We're going to shoot. We'll have a show Monday. We'll have a show Tuesday. I'm in town. I made the family fly down to Houston, or fly down to Dallas, fun. So I'm good.
Mama Tanner and Papa Tanner. All right.
Scoping out maybe where they might be living next, because they got to get out of the 303.
Oh, yeah. You know how them Venezuelans are up there.
When I heard they were in Aurora, I was like, oh, that makes way too sense. But we'll probably shoot a show Monday, Tuesday. We'll probably do a show Wednesday. We'll probably take Thursday off. We might do maybe an extended best of, maybe a best of the year. I don't know what we'll do, but
Good
we'll be
idea.
rocking. I'll actually be at the Cowboys game. We're going to the Thanksgiving Cowboys game. So
No way.
it'll be fun. Yeah. I mean, now that there's both third string quarterbacks are playing, I don't know how fun it'll be for both those teams, but hey, it'll be great, guys. But either way, we will be back. And we understand that a lot of people have a lot of time on their hands, you know, if you're not visiting family, if you're just sitting alone. So we will make sure there is content in your podcast app from us to fill you up so you can maintain yourself till we get to the next week. But with that, guys, let's let you get back to work. Appreciate everybody checking us out here on the world's greatest podcast, www.energynewsbeat.com. For Stuart, Turley, I'm Michael Tanner. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.